Welkom bij onze eerste aflevering van de podcast Airmen, Knights of the Skies. Deze aflevering is Engels gesproken omdat wij vandaag een zeer speciale gast hebben in ons midden. Mellisa Ledlow-Menard. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast, Airmen, Knights of the Skies. I'm joined today with our guests, Pieter Polman, Karel Lusink of the Foundation Aircraft Research Group Achterhoek, and Mellisa. It's an absolute honor having you here on our podcast today. My name is Sander Wonings, project lead and historian of the project Spitfire N3069 and your host for today. Today we will learn about the crash of an American heavy bomber in the Limes region during the Second World War, a Boeing B-17 bomber, also known as a flying fortress. This particular aircraft went down on the 28th of October 1944 southwest of Oud-Zevenaar in the northern area of the Grote Gelderse Waard. All 10 crew members bailed out and landed safely near the villages of Braamt and Ooi. Pieter's grandfather more than often told stories about this crash to his son, Rudy, who in the late 1980s, together with Karel, a well-known air war historian, took the initiative to document this specific account. Rudy even managed to get in touch with several crew members, and in May 1991, one of these veterans, Sergeant Don Menard, returned to the Netherlands. His visit to the crash site area made a deep impression on him. Mellisa, Don's daughter, together with Pieter and Karel, will take us on a remarkable journey telling us about this crash of this B-17 at Ooi. So, welcome again.
Thank you.
We have a B-17 bomber, an American heavy bomber, 4-engined, on trouble from the return leg from a mission to Munster. What happened? Pieter, Karel, can you tell us about it?
Well, actually, the airplane was on the bomb run above Münster on the 28th of October, and when they dropped the bombs, within a few minutes they were hit by flak, and number 3 and 4 engine were hit and were put off. So they dropped out of formation, and Captain Thelma Scott put the command of the squadron over to another airplane, and they told that they were probably not getting back to England, to the airbase, and they were trying to get to a liberated area just west of the Rhine River, just below Nijmegen.
Okay, that sounds like difficult times for the crew. Which crew were on board? Karel, I believe you have the full crew list.
Yes, I have. Roy Sheely, he was the pilot. The squadron commander was Thelma Scott. Robert Robertson, the navigator. Dale Brown, bombardier. George Potter Jr., he was the radar navigator, and he was also the pathfinder operator for the squadron. Earl Cornett, engineer top turret gunner. Donald M. Menard, he was the radio operator. John Bodiniak, he was the right waist gunner. Albert Richards was the left waist gunner. And the tail gunner was Marvin Bell.
So, 10 crew members. Yep. The B-17 was also known as a flying fortress. Why was it called flying fortress?
Because they had so many 50 caliber guns on board. In the nose, in the top turret, in the tail, ball turret. So it was really a fortress.
Okay. So the plane is really struggling with 3 engines out of the 4, so only 1 engine still running. Where did the plane ultimately crash or came down? Made it an emergency landing or?
Well, actually, they tried to get to liberated territory, and they seemed to manage. But then, right above Emmerich, or near Emmerich, they were shot for the second time, and then number 2 engine caught fire, and then that was the time for Thelma Scott to give the command to bail out. So then they changed course. I don't know exactly why, but they flew over Braamt And in Braamt, the first crew members bailed out. And as we know now, the first one to bail out was Marvin Bell. That was the tail gunner at the time. And we've got eyewitness stories in Braamt telling us about Marvin Bell that came down in the meadow of farm Hegeman in Braamt. And he just sat down in the grass and he smoked a cigarette. So, and the second one that came down in Braamt, that was Don Menard, the father of Mellisa. And he came down in a pear tree just a few hundred meters further away from Marvin Bell. And, Don Menard saw a jeep coming when he was hanging in a pear tree.
Yeah.
And he thought, well, we might have reached liberated area. So, but then after a while, he saw men dressed in black in the jeep. So he realized, oh my God, those are SS Germans. I will get captured. So the Germans got there, captured him, and took away his watch first, because his watch was something the Germans would like to have, and they took away his pistol. And right away, they forced him to come along with the jeep to go to the forest, because in the forest, Robert Robinson, the navigator of the plane, landed in the woods, and Don had to talk him out of the woods.
Okay, and the rest of the crew and the plane itself?
Well, the rest of the crew, what we know, just like Robert Robinson, he came down in het Montferlandse bos in the woods. So did Dale Brown. Dale Brown had a story about coming down in the woods in a tree. He got out of his harness and he walked about 500 yards and he hid somewhere in the bushes. And then after a short while, he heard a German patrol coming by just a few yards away, and he had to surrender because he thought, wow, they might shoot at me. So he surrendered. And George Potter was also in the same forest, and George Potter managed to stay hidden for 3 or 4 days. So then the airplane flew further on. About 8 miles further, and just above Ooi, near Zevenaar, the rest of the crew, 5 crew members, jumped out of the airplane. And we've got a good eyewitness telling about it, that 5 chutes dropped out of the airplane. Oh. And also Roy Sheely, the pilot, told us, he wrote to us that he and Thelma Scott were the last standing at the bay, the bomb bay doors, and they both looked at each other and jumped as last. And he jumped right above he landed right on the top road, so that's the dike.
Yeah.
So that's what really happened, and we collected a lot of eyewitness stories about from people who live in Ooi itself. So we have a lot of different perspectives to describe what happened.
Okay. Yeah, I think we will come back later to what's actually happening in the area of the crash and the local population. But your father, Mellisa, was the radio operator.
Yes, he was.
What can you tell us about your father?
He was raised on a farm, not far from the country, like regional airport. So he would see planes and stuff as he was growing up, and always would have loved to have flown. On December 7th, 1941, he was in high school, and he and his buddies were desperate to enlist the next day, but my grandmother talked him into finishing high school, and the four high school friends enlisted on December 7th, 1942. He had hoped to be a pilot, but he didn't qualify and chose to go the radio operator course, which actually led to his career in electronics, and he was so grateful for what he learned in training and stuff. He loved it. He loved being the radio operator. He loved the schooling and, had never been much of anywhere in the United States, so all the traveling for different schools and things was just great to him. And he met his crew in Florida shortly before they were shipped over to England. And I think like so many of those World War II crews, they just had this great bond and brotherhood and teamwork, and they were all very close to each other, and went over to Nut Humstead, England, not far from Cambridge, and settled in at the base there.
Okay. And did your father tell, after the war, did he tell a lot about the war, his experience, or?
No, we were forbidden to talk about the war. He did not want to talk about it. He did have a scrapbook up in his closet with some mementos, and when he was away, we would sneak it out and go behind the sofa and look at it. And, but he did not like to talk about it, ever.
Not at all?
Not at all. No movies, no Hogan's Heroes, no, didn't want to talk about it. And then suddenly, it probably was 1989, he got a phone call from Roy Sheely, the pilot, and Roy told him, Don, I have a contact in the Netherlands. They have something like a history club. They trying to research our plane and our mission. And I'm already working with another history club. It was maybe you, Carl, at the time. I don't know. But he said, I need you to take this over. And because it came from his pilot, he was not going to refuse the order. And that's when he made contact with Rudy. And after that dialogue began, it was just, he couldn't stop talking about it. And he was a great storyteller. And we started all taking it in. And, it was just a great experience for us as well to finally hear what happened. It was stunning.
So in a sense, his visit and the contact Rudy and Carl made back then helped him to...
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely changed everything.
So how was it for you, that visit, Carl, in 1991?
Yeah, that was amazing. It was one of the first times that I did a lot of research about aircraft who came down in the east of Holland. And it was one of the first time, I think it was the first time that we met a veteran, a really American pilot who jumped out of the aircraft and came down to Holland to visit the crash site. That was, for us, it was someone who was coming from the moon. It was amazing. Well, he told us so much about what happened during that flight. Yeah, for us it was, it was astonishing.
It is.
Yeah.
It is to hear the details.
Yeah.
And because you can imagine it, but until the first-hand account,
Yeah.
And
we did a lot of research, but then talking to someone who was really there, who was in the plane, that was amazing.
I think talking to you guys too also helped clarify his memories and understand. It forced him to remember and get the sequence and who did what and how it happened, and even before and after this mission, his whole experience in the military, just got him more clear-headed about it. He had just really set it aside and not explored that. So it was good for him and us.
Yeah.
So your father Rudy was for you lead researcher, and your father passed away some time ago, and you took it over. What did your father tell you about that first visit in 1991? Can you remember that?
Well, actually, it was a sort of a joint venture because the whole family of mine was part of it. My mother was part of the investigation team, knocking at doors, asking people if they heard something about parachutists coming down. So it really was a joint effort of my dad, my mother, my brother Martin, and me. So we didn't have a choice. We just had to participate.
Yeah.
So when Don first contacted us, I was home alone, and all of a sudden I had someone from America on the line on my ear. So telling all stories about what happened, and I'm the man you're looking for. So and when he came in '91 to Holland, we had already indicated all sites that mattered to him. The place where he came down, we took him to the farmer who saw him coming down. So they talked to each other, and the man said, he came from Braamt, he was a farmer there. He said, ik zag al door neerkomen, zo in de boom. Yeah. And he couldn't talk English, but Don knew what he was saying. So that was a very remarkable moment to put both sides of history together at that time. It was really magical. And we went with Don to the school where he was held in prison in Zevenaar, and we went to the Juvenaat. That was a SS headquarters. And there's a large corridor inside of that building, and he could hear the boots of the SS men walking through the corridor. And he was captured there for just a few hours inside of the basement of the Juvenaat. And I think 2 days ago we visited the cellar.
Right.
Because we couldn't visit the cellar with Don because in 1991 the cellar was locked up. It was closed. We couldn't go enter. But 2 days ago with Jim and Mellisa, because the building is open and there's some demolition work going on, and we could enter and we could visit the cellar. So, and we think we indicated the place where Don would have been held captive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are there any eyewitness accounts which made an impact on you or you, Carl? More than other?
No, what made an impact on me was the eyewitness account from Roy Sheely. He bailed out over Ooi, and he came down in the middle of an SS regiment. And they told him, handen hoch, but he didn't understood it. So he did nothing. And then they slapped him a few times in the face, knowing that he put his hands in the air.
Yeah.
And that's what he told me. He said they weren't very friendly. And they took him into custody, and together with Thelma Scott, who landed nearby. And but the SS was not very friendly to them.
I think what's quite interesting to that story as well is that Roy Sheely also accounted that when he came down on his parachute, he heard the bullets whistling around him. And my dad also interviewed a lady that was 89 years old then, mevrouw Wening.
Yeah.
And she said she yelled at the Germans who were shooting at those parachutists, "Stop shooting, those are unarmed men, you're not allowed to shoot them." So she thinks she might have saved someone's life. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We don't know, but she said that it did had it helped.
She sure
it
tried
helped.
to.
Yeah.
Okay, so the complete crew is taken prisoner of war. Did Don tell you, Mellisa, about his prisoner of war time?
Oh, yes. I've actually been to the prison camp where he was held. And my husband and I are headed there next week for the anniversary of the liberation. Mm-hmm. Yes, he was held at the kindergarten school in Zevenaar for 4 or 5 days and marched to Emmerich and then on to Dulag Luft in Oberrussel, Germany, which that interrogation was quite chilling and quite scary because they were all put in solitary and couldn't talk. And he went in to be interrogated or interviewed and sat across the table from a German who spoke perfect English and knew everything about him, knew his mother's maiden name, knew his address, and it was very, very unnerving. I'm sure they did that with all their interrogations. It really shook him how they had all that information. But eventually they trained him up to a prison camp in Poland, Stalag Luft 4, which for just a couple of months it was the Russians were coming from the east, and the Germans marched half of the camp and to Nuremberg, and the other half my dad was able to get on a train car because of his broken ankle injury and sent to Stalag Luft 1 in Barth, Germany. sometime around or shortly after Dad started communicating with Rudy, he communicated with a lady in Barth, which is the former East Germany, who almost single-handedly was determined to keep the history of Stalag Luft 1, and there was a small concentration camp there as well. She was determined to keep the history of those camps alive despite a lot of pushback from the community. They really did not want to have much remembered about that time. But he began to correspond with this lady in Barth, and they also had a great correspondence and relationship. And I got to go with Dad there and meet her and the community, and that was pretty great.
This whole experience, how does it reflect on the rest of your family?
I'm one of 5 children, and everyone is very interested, but particularly one brother who also made the trip here to Zevenaar a couple of times. Yep. And he and I probably communicate the most about it. But for example, when Dad passed away, we had everybody over at our house after the services, and Jim had helped me. But I had laid out not a museum display, but I had laid out lots of things of Dad's and the binders and the mementos, and it was just a great day for all of us to see it, all in front of us and not behind the sofa where we had to hide. And so everybody has always been very supportive and interested, and it's been great. It's been great for the family.
That's great to hear. Now, how does it reflect to you and your research, which you continues with what your father did?
Well, in the end, it's very rewarding to know that investigations like this and making contact with people who were in a war situation really works healing, and so for me that was very rewarding to know. And last year I took a look at my bookshelf, and there were 2 big cases of the investigation of my dad, and I thought, well, in there is a remarkable story, and maybe it's a good time now, 80 years after it happened, to blow the dust away and retell the story again. And so that's why we are here with Mellisa. And because we just got to know each other recently, and everything came it went quite quickly. So it's very rewarding to tell the stories. Yeah.
And how was for you, Carl?
I did a lot of research. I contacted a lot of veterans and family, and a lot of family members told me my dad never talked about the war. And after contacting you, he started talking about the war. And I once had an American veteran, and I contacted his family, and I contacted the veteran. And his son told me this was the first time I saw my father crying after he contacted you. He started talking about the war. And that's something that is very special to me.
Yeah.
So, looking at the future, we celebrate this year the 80th anniversary of VE Day, our liberation of the continent. Why? I guess a question for all 3 of you: why is it important to keep remembering and to keep the memory alive for those who fought for our freedom? Mellisa. Okay.
I think all history is important to all of us, whether you recognize that or not. And if we don't learn from what happened in these firsthand accounts, that, with the internet, it's amazing what we can share now that maybe you would have to go to the library to read about events like that. And also, I'm big on family. And I think it's great to tell stories about great-great-grandparents or, distant cousins. Or it's who we are. It's part of our DNA. And I have the utmost respect for all veterans. And also something that was so significant for Dad was he had no idea that people would be so interested in the story. He was a bit stunned coming to Holland when we went to Germany. It was very humbling to him to see the reaction of people who met him, that they were cared and were interested. I mean, I think we're all here today because of those guys and previous generations as well.
Mm-hmm. Cuddle?
I think freedom is fragile. Look at all the cemeteries. Look at all those boys during World War II and later on who paid the ultimate price for freedom. Freedom is not for free.
Dad had that bumper sticker on his car.
Yeah.
Freedom is not free.
And that's what I on my t-shirt, lest we forget.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I participated in a school project in Zevenaar, and where the stories got told. I remarked that we are gonna there's gonna be a commemoration panel about this airplane in Ooi. And they were astonished. Why isn't this story told before? Why is it only after 80 years that you're starting to tell about the story? So the children were fascinated about the story, about the individual, the role of the individuals, and the way they emotionally they were involved in the war. Just like your dad told about what it was like to be in a prison camp. So it's a very interesting stories which I heard from children. Why weren't these stories told before? So there's a big need for children to hear these stories. Yeah.
And you're going to fulfill that need by doing what?
Well, in this afternoon, just in a few hours, we will. Mellisa will reveal a memory panel on the dike in Ooi, on which the story of the B-17 is being told. Mm-hmm. And it's a story about the crew, about the eyewitnesses in the village itself. Yeah. It's a story about the investigation that Carl and my dad did undertake, and the visit of Don to Zevenaar. So it's very interesting. I think that a lot of people can, just by walking on the dike or cycling on the dike, they can have a rest there because there's a picnic bench as well. Yeah. And they can read the panel. They have a nice view over the landing site where the parachutists came down and how the airplane flew over. And just on the other side of the dike, just a few 200 yards away, there's the place where the plane crashed. So I think the location is terrific. The story is so complete and really strikes people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How you feel about that? That there will be an information panel with your father's name among others on it.
It's astonishing, and I can't imagine. He would have just been so humbled and blown away and excited and beyond pleased. I mean, the timeline between us here these last few months, it's very unexpected, and I feel very honored to be there at the unveiling and seeing it go up.
Well, it's an exciting time for sure. Well, it is absolutely amazing story. I guess there's many questions, of course, but for now, thinking one question left. If you want to tell people in general, if you want to give them a message from what we learned today about this crash, what would it be?
Well, I would say within a family to try to ask grandparents or family members about their past. I also enjoyed learning about my mother's childhood and things. I think it's just important to keep those stories going and then to share them. Jim and I have had some conversations during this trip on trains, and we were at the cemetery in Margraten, and people wanted to hear the story, and just try to always be open and share it. And maybe you will trigger them to do some research or investigate their family. And my dad's story is one story of World War II. It is one.
Yeah.
It's, exceptional to us, but there are many, many other stories, and some good, some bad outcomes. But as Carl said, we need to remember. So.
And war is not an adventure. War is horrific.
No.
Yep.
And this story shows that it is horrific. Even though all 10 crew members survived and came home, probably with physical or emotional damage. And I think that story should be told, that we should do everything to avoid getting in the war.
And we have to pass the stories through to next generations.
Right.
So they can learn what happened all those years ago.
Yep.
And maybe learn about it. Learn of it.
And be smart. And be smarter.
And not starting another war.
Right. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing this moving, emotional story. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It's my honor.
As I said, it's an honor for us. I think Pieter and Carl and myself can say we are honored to research the stories of your relatives and keep the memories alive for our next generations to come.
Yep.
So pass on the baton, so to say.
Yes.
Thank you very much for listening for our first episode of our podcast, Airmen, Knights of the Skies. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.